learn more. Oh, there we go. A normal little viewing thing. So, take 4.5, take 3, take 2, take 1, something. And anyway, if any of these opinions are contradictory to the companies that I am currently displaying, it's not because I'm sponsored by them, it's just because I like their product. So there's nothing that they believe that I believe, so just keep that out of the whole comments. They are not the same as me. They are actually probably hold a better standard for their employees and such. So the shirt is a Rad Dad thing, Marvel. They don't consider my views anything. And this right here, if you're familiar with the East Coast grocery chain store, you'll know what it is. 15% on the back. I only have a little bit to talk about. Take 4.5 is about language and how that is code. It's a little code. It can set out there and infect people. So, and it's depending on the programs that are already actually downloaded into you that you already have. So, and those programs are your teaching. So you can be taught how to be moral. You can taught how to have good ethics. You can taught how to have a good work ethic. And on the language that these people use and that you use is how that program is executed. So essentially you could sit there and you could believe that, you know, everyone can be good and be this way, but you can only have multiple results and one result that actually comes out from that code. So if I am a Christian man that sits there and gets frustrated, because he gets frustrated, decides to be vulgar and use curse words towards those people that I'm having those issues with, they can actually sit there and go, wow, I thought he was a Christian. I thought he didn't use those type of words, but that's on what their actual reaction is, that what their actual outcome, their how the code that I give them is executed. So if I tell them to go blah, 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 blah themselves, they can get upset. They can get angry and upset. They get angry and upset, all the above. Or they could brush it off because maybe they have a better foundation in their life than what I do. So we could sit there and believe that language is not code and that people are not affected by it, but people are. And I could extend this as well as language as being visual language, visual and verbal, and, you know, just you could sit there and go, oh, if that's the case, the media that we take in is another form of code. It is. It essentially is. And I'll admit this. Because I've watched movies sometimes that were way, way out there, and I wondered, what if in those situations, what would that be like? What would that be like to accomplish that task that that person did, to do the little deed that they did? And then I realized that that's not at all in the same, like atmosphere that my worldview is in. It's not in all the same, like, it should never be in the spectrum that I live. It should. I'm just trying to use words to explain what I mean, but you know, this is what happens when you don't write things down before you decide to rant and rave. So, and that's why I think that some of the books that I recently read, you know, and these books on how to influence people, how to win friends, and there's a title out there that's very similar to that two phrases itself. But I honestly think that, you know, there's a reason why it's better to actually just take all of someone's anger that they have for you and they direct it towards yourself. It's not necessarily taking blame for everything, but it's, you may not know what kind of frustrations that they're going through in their life at the moment, and it may actually smooth things over quicker if you're like, yes, I am wrong. Yes, I am this way. You saying you are wrong when you may not be wrong may be the best code to put into their life, because then they have an opportunity to reflect, cool down, and then they may realize that they are wrong. Then they cool down and they take the issue, and they, instead of blowing it out of proportion, they look at it and they go, oh, it might be better. It might be better to treat this person with respect as they treated me, and they took responsibility for what they said, even if it's not their responsibility to take. It could be a better outcome simply because you're willing to go down the right source code. So everyone has their own hardware and software, and the hardware, some people are Windows 95, some people are XP, some people are Mac OS, some people are whatever you call that, Android ice cream. I'm naming the ones that I can remember off the top of my head, but it's just how it goes, you know? Just it doesn't make sense, you know? Let's see. Person speeding up the turn right. What does that really get you? Not much, but so, and everybody processes differently. Some people have a higher IQ, some people have a lower IQ, and then others have no IQ. And it may not be their fault. It may be how they're born. But their life still has value. So then they're taught how to process things. They're taught how to manage and function in life. Maybe they don't function as high as some of other people do. I function lower than some people. Some people function lower than me, vice versa. But it doesn't mean that we don't have the right to exist. So as we learn and what kind of hardware we are and where we process, we may take years, sometimes 32 of them, in order to look at life and actually reflect on it instead of blaming everybody else for what they have. So, and in this life, there's a roller coaster of emotions that go up and down and up and down, and you may only be able to combat that with the stuff that you're given. If you're going through depression, I urge you, if you feel like you can't deal with it all, go find a counselor, go find a pastor, go see a medical professional, because maybe they could actually do a test and find out that maybe you are chemically unbalanced. Some people just naturally are that way. I am. I'm very chemically unbalanced because that's just, I think, how my body is. That's why working out and going to bed on time, which I never really do, that's why one of the things that gets me really, really badly, because life just throws you lemons, and I decided to make lemonade. But you have to do with what you have to do. In other news, not only is this source code, you can see it. You can see how it affects people. You can see it in the news, you know. The news is very split today. And if it doesn't meet the platform or the idea, the ideology of that news channel or those people that work for that news channel, then it won't get portrayed properly. So they put out their source code. They cut a video and they make it look like the villain is the hero and the hero is the villain, and vice versa, you know, and that hero and villain is seen in different lights depending on who is actually the one portraying that light. So, coffee before bed, lovely. But, I'm getting involved in my church a little bit more, I would say. Ironically, I went to school for a degree in theology, but I had to slow down and, you know, had to go get a job because we had our third child, and that child is a blessing. All children are a blessing. No matter what you're going through, some people would like to say that you probably shouldn't have kids. Every child is a blessing. And you must understand that. You must understand that there's a reason why they're here. You may not understand it right now, but as a parent, your job is to sit there and try to give them the best coding as possible. Lift them up. And I'm not perfect at this. Actually, I need a lot of work on this. And I'm afraid that someday that my kids will turn out to be like me. But hopefully, after demonstrating a lifelong relationship with my wife, it's showing them that I love her the way I do. That some of that issues that I dealt with as a kid will be broken. The chains of that sin will be broken out of my family's life. But then some would actually argue that maybe I needed to see the coding that my family gave me in order to get me to where I am today. But no matter what, I love everybody in my family. I love my parents. I forgive them. Everything that happens now is because of me. No one else. I could point fingers for 1,000 years, but it does no good to point fingers. Even if the blame can be given to others, it does no good. So, trying to cover this coffee mug up just right so that I don't try to put my views on the company that it is, because I respect the company. I respect its business model. respect what's going on. I've had ups and downs while I worked for that company, but who knows? Maybe that was the reason to show me where I needed to go. Almost 11 o'clock, and I need to somehow get 8 hours of sleep. It's not happening. Looks like another tiring night. But the reason why I went to the grocery store, if you did catch it in the previous videos, was I was trying to get an airlock. My airlock busted somehow. Plastic is plastic, it breaks. That's how it goes. And the airlock at the grocery store is not in season because they stock it only at the end, basically mid-July to the end of August, because that's canning season. Use these airlocks on canning and try to make things that you're trying to ferment. There's fermentable foods out there that actually are pretty good with that little sweet tanginess that comes out. But I also bought a subscription. I wanted to do this for the last year. A subscription to Louder with Crowder that includes their mug club. If you're a military veteran, student, or a military veteran or student, you get a discount. You get a $30 discount a year, and it's pretty cheap. It's cheaper than Netflix every month. And they provide some good conservative content. So try to make sure I cover this up. And I like it. You don't have to be conservative to enjoy what they provide on the Blaze TV and Louder with Crowder. Some of the comedy is just great. I mean, parody like no other. I would honestly want to see how Steven Crowder does with stand-up comedy. I know he does shows around the universities here and there, but I'd just love to see like a bit on him just talking about his observations in life. Well, you guys have a blessed day. May God bless you and your family.